Hey guys, it's Camper Dad. Today we're going to freeze dry cherry tomatoes. Anyway, a whole bunch of small tomatoes. Keep watching, it's coming up. So I bought these boxes of small cherry tomatoes. I'm not sure what they're all called, to be honest, what kind of tomatoes. But they're the size of cherry tomatoes. And I cut them in half or thirds, depending on their size and shape, so that I can put the skin down on all of them. And since I didn't have my freeze dryer trays available, I just froze them in a cookie sheet, 3 layers of them. And I'm just going to lay them on the trays now and freeze dry them. And we'll see how long it takes to do. Looks like it's going to take a few minutes to lay all these out. You want to make sure and put the skins down so that the moisture can come out the top of the tomatoes. And we'll be able to see what they look like probably tomorrow morning sometime. Once I get these all laid out, then I'll put them in the freeze dryer, get them started. I've already frozen down the chamber so that it's ready for these. And I'll put them in as I get them done. One of the things that I've found useful for these tomatoes, other than just eating them, which I can just sit and eat until my mouth is so raw with canker sores, but dry, they're great on a salad, and you can rehydrate them. It takes a little bit, but you can put them in dishes that you may want to cook. But they're also great in things like a soup, where they reconstitute in the broth. I should have pulled this up from the other side so you can see what's happening. But so you can see I just had layers of these tomatoes, and so we'll get them laid out. There's a fair amount of water in these, so it may take just a little bit to get them all totally dried. Anyway, I will come back to you once I have them all on trays, and I'm putting the last one in the freeze dryer. Okay, I have filled 3 full trays and a partial here of a 4th. So now I'm going to put them in the freeze dryer and start the process. So for this one, I went and got a watt meter so that I can see how many kilowatt hours of electricity uses to do frozen tomatoes, just like this. So at the end, I'll tell you exactly how much electricity it cost for me to freeze dry these tomatoes. I will see you tomorrow when they're done. So it took 24 hours to freeze dry the tomatoes. I'll pull them out and I'll show you how loaded the trays were, and you'll see why. The tomatoes have a lot of water in them, so it's not too surprising. I'm going to heat the trays just a little bit while this is happening. So the reason for heating the trays before they come out is so that they aren't such an extreme temperature difference between there and what the ambient temperature is. Otherwise, they gather condensation and moisture, and all of a sudden the food that you just dried now gets rehydrated by the moisture that they get when they come out and they're so cold. So I'm going to let them heat. A lot of these tomatoes I'm going to put in jars because we're going to use them probably in the next year or so. I'll seal them, and that way they're also easier to use when they're in jars rather than in the bags, because we only use a few and then we'll reseal the jar again and use some on a salad, reseal the jar again. Tomatoes, when they're freeze dried, their flavor gets really enhanced. As you freeze dry stuff, you'll find out that water actually dulls the flavor a little bit in foods. So these are really strong. And there's other foods that you'll find, just like raspberries, strawberries, and other fruits. When you take the water out, their flavor is really, really enhanced. So hopefully you can see there all these tomatoes that now have no weight to them at all. And yes, they are really dry. And a lot of flavor. I can eat these really fast, and then I get canker sores in my mouth. So I'll try and bottle them before I get all those cankers. And tell the freeze dryer that I don't need more dry time. I'm going to check my ice load here. So there's a fair amount of ice in there. I probably could have packed them a little bit tighter and they just would have run longer, but it actually was 23 and a half hours on my watt meter. When I looked at it, I figured out that it cost me $1.80 in electricity to do this. So a 24-hour pre-frozen batch cost me $1.80 in electricity. Not too bad, actually, when you start figuring in doing full meals, things like that. A 24-hour batch costing you $2 or less in electricity in freezing. In freeze drying. Anyway, I'm going to bottle these. I'll show that to you when I'm done. But this is one that you should try, if for no other reason, to see what a really enhanced flavored tomato tastes like.